Hi everybody, happy Monday. Welcome to our channel. I'm Chris.
I'm Steve.
We're with EatWalkLearn. We share with you every Monday things about our life as nomads as we travel around the world full time with 2 carry-on suitcases, and that is it. So we are in Sligo, Ireland this week, still on a house sit and loving our 10 days or so here in Sligo, although it has rained every single day. We have had a chance to get out and enjoy the Wild Atlantic Way. So this is actually a road technically that goes from the southwest corner of Ireland up to the northwest corner of Ireland. And it's just a beautiful place. If you have been to Ireland or coming to Ireland, you want to put it on your list of things to do. We're not driving though, we're staying put in Sligo. And so we've had a chance to do a ton of hiking. So as we talk about the things we're going to talk about today, we're going to show pictures up above about just the beautiful area of Sligo. And I'll type in some place names so you know what you're looking at, but we're not really going to talk about the pictures per se. We're going to talk about the skills we've learned that are keeping us young as nomads. Do you feel like you're younger now than you were a year ago?
I was worried about retiring a year ago, and was I going to be bored? Was I going to be keeping my brain active? And it turns out that as a nomad, we're constantly doing new things. We're constantly challenging ourselves and constantly keeping that brain activity going. And I feel like it's keeping us young. And so we thought we'd talk about some of the things that can keep you young as in your nomadic journey, and show you some beautiful pictures of Sligo along the way.
So the things we're talking about are the things that make your synapses keep firing all day long. And I think that's what, if you look at the research about Alzheimer's and dementia and so on, it's about your brain just not synapsing anymore. So we're not doctors. We're not claiming to be doctors. We're just doctors on YouTube. And so we're just going to talk about how our brain gets activated and motivated every damn day of our nomad life. So the first example, so we were down in Sligo and lost. And it was, often we'll take a taxi, often we'll hire a driver, often we'll get an Uber or whatever. But a lot of the times we are relying on public transit in our life. So the number one skill that we're figuring out that we really need to understand how to do is just really embracing the local transit and how it works. So what are some of the things that we have to think about?
And just knowing, again, a public transit might be the bus, it might be a train, it might be the subway or the tram or the funicular or something, way they get around. Or even the bike share that we had an opportunity to use this week, just riding bikes around town. But how do we get around in addition to just walking skills? And so some of the things that we need to figure out is, what are the bus routes? How do we get from point A to point B? What does it cost? What are the timetables, to take the different forms of transportation?
And we have to even figure out the how-tos. Do you need to get a particular card to use the local transit? Does the bus driver give change? Do you have to have an exact change? Can you pay with your phone? Can you pay with a credit card? Do you have to pay with cash? So all these things, they're easy answers, but you have to know to ask the question so that when you get on the bus driver doesn't say, "Get the hell off my bus," because you don't know what you're doing, right? Or you missed the bus because you didn't have the right change or whatever.
Right.
So you've got it. We were, in downtown Sligo, and we realized that if we had a Leaf card, which is the national transit card for Ireland, it would cost us about 20 or 30% less every single time we took the bus, which adds up.
But you can't just get the Leap card anywhere. You have to go to a special place. And we went to the place that Google said to go, and they didn't know what we were talking about. So we had to go to a different place.
We went 4 different places to try to find the Leaf card in order to get on the bus. So that's the first skill, is just really understanding how to use the local transit and what tools to use. So you might have to use Google for that. You might have to get a local app that's significant for that town. You might have to just ask locals. I mean, here in Sligo, there's no Uber, there's no any sort of shared car. The taxis don't even really have an app. So you have to know the phone number of the taxi company. And you call them to get a taxi ride. Or you can WhatsApp. Have WhatsApp on your phone. That's another skill. Have WhatsApp on your phone and know how to use it. So you have to, everybody use WhatsApp. And so we have to WhatsApp the taxi driver to come get us. And he says, "Where are you?" And we're like,
I don't know.
Right. You don't know where you are. That's the beauty of Uber. You don't have to know those things. But with a taxi driver, you do. Okay. So I think we beat that dead horse deader. So then the next skill you really have to know, and we're hearing our lovely dog that we're house sitting, is really how to use Google to navigate. So first, a lot of people get a little bit hung up on whether or not Google is using their data or not using their data in their data plan. If you use Google to find some place, that doesn't require data. So if you just say, how do you get from A to B? Google will tell you how to get from A to B. That's not a data requirement. But if you actually navigate where Google tells you turn left, turn right, turn left, turn right, that requires data. So you decide how you want to do that. And you can also download the Google Maps to make that faster. This video is not about that. It's just about how to use Google to get to places. So what was that example that we were trying to use Google and the bus route wouldn't even show up?
Yeah, so we pull up directions to get from point A to point B, and it gives you, Google gives you different options. If you were to drive, or if you were to walk, or if you were to take transit, and we click on take transit, and it shows nothing available. So it just wasn't even recognizing that there was public transit available.
But we knew there was transit. We saw the bus driving by, so why wasn't that working?
Yeah.
So what we figured out was if we pulled up Google and then found the item on the map and then clicked the item on the map in Google and then asked how to go there, it would give us the bus route. We never had to do that before. Google never made us do that before. But
a great example of a puzzle, a brain teaser that again is keeping our brains active and trying to figure out and solve problems. We talk about, is this a treasure hunt or is it a scavenger hunt? So we like to think of it as a treasure hunt that, just figuring these things out will get us to where we want to go, and it keeps our relationship strong too.
So sense of humor, another skill you really need to develop between your relationship in order to really enjoy your nomad life. So talking about where we're going, we end up in accommodation someplace. So usually that's either an Airbnb or a house sit. Sometimes it's a hotel or something different, but generally it's someplace that has a kitchen and a bedroom of some type. Just the simplest things are making our brain just firework all day long. Like how to plug something in. Do you need an adapter? Do you need to find the plug? Does the plug have a button that makes you turn on the plug? And if you don't turn on that button, then the plug doesn't work. Or even finding where the plugs are. Where in our particular house, there's no plugs in the bathroom. Like, why would there be a plug in the bathroom?
Right. Every place is different, and it's being able to adapt and to figure things out, and know how to do the things that you do every day. Every time you go to someplace different, it's going to be different. And the kitchen is my favorite example. Especially we talk about Airbnbs, that you go into an Airbnb and they have one frying pan. And
a mismatched lid,
spaghetti with just a frying pan, right? So all kinds of examples that we hear from our nomad friends about the horror stories in Airbnbs and how they can actually use the kitchen and use it effectively. Even just making a cup of coffee or can be a challenge.
Yeah, give up your idea of drip coffee. That translates into all different types of things everywhere. But I mean, certainly when we look at our Airbnbs and we look at our houses, we really think we're picking a place that we don't have to come up with these challenges. But every single place has its own unique challenge. So, like in our current place, because summer's here. She had turned off the heat, but Sligo didn't get the message that summer was here. And so we had to figure out how to stay warm without the heat or figure out how to turn the heat on. And the heaters and the thermostats and things are just not what we're used to. So you just, you take Google and you take Lens on Google and you take a picture of something and hopefully Lens will identify what the item is and it will give you the instructions for how to do something.
Which is another good app.
Yeah, so it's just, the obvious just is not the obvious. So, the brain is constantly firing left and right on that. And then the last thing we want to talk about is just the skill of finding what you need. Whether if you want garbanzo beans or peanut butter when you're thinking about food, or Steve needed a new pair of insoles for his shoes, or you just need deodorant. I mean, these things they're just more complicated.
Yeah, and then just the simple things like, you get someplace and you're hungry and it's like, okay, we need to find a restaurant. And in our particular case, we like to eat, vegan food, and vegan can be a real challenge to find in restaurants, or find a restaurant that specializes in that or has those kinds of things. So to be a little bit flexible, but to find things that you're looking for. So and Chris mentioned the example finding things that just aren't available in the store. So,
Or you don't even know what store to go to find it.
Right. So, we use Amazon a lot. So Amazon is a great resource. But again, going through kind of those mental gymnastics about, does Amazon even deliver here? And if they do, what's the address? And do we have enough time frame to get that? And
then do they come to the door and are you going to be there? Will they leave it behind the door? And if they don't leave it, where do you go find it? And
Right. We had a particular example of, wanting to get something. We couldn't get it from the UK Amazon, but we could get it from the Germany Amazon because there isn't a particular flavor of Amazon here in Ireland. So just, again, challenging our brains and coming up with the solutions and figuring things out is
another example is, in the States, if you have a headache, you go buy Tylenol or Advil or, we've got 30,000 different painkillers.
All the brand names.
You can go to CVS, you can go to the grocery store. There's, a lot of places you can go buy a basic bottle of aspirin or similar. Here, so what we found so far is nobody sells a big bucket of drugs anywhere in Europe, and you have to go to the
big bucket of drugs.
When you go to the pharmacy, and they send you, you buy a little, I think a pack of aspirin's like $5, which is really expensive to us.
Yeah, but all the brand names are different, so you can't buy Tylenol here. But you can buy the drug that's in Tylenol. It's just called something different. And knowing, is this really the same thing or is it, is it not? So mental gymnastics and figuring things out and finding that treasure or that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that we're constantly looking for is keeping us young.
See, don't we look much younger a year later? Don't we look much younger? I don't think we do look much younger. This kind of makes you look old, I think.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we feel younger, and we definitely feel like we are ahead of the game on the aging process by staying nomads. So all these tips we told you about, we give you these tips also in our book. But by the way, thank you everybody. We hit #1 last week in a bunch of different categories on Amazon: travel writing, hiking travel, cruise travel, airplane travel. If you haven't gotten our book, the link is down below in the description. Make sure you go get that. But what we want to know, if you are a nomad, our fellow nomads that are hopefully watching, what are some of the things that you're doing that you feel like is keeping your brain young? Or do you have any recommendations for us? Or in those of you who haven't quite gotten to this lifestyle yet, or you're kind of trying it out, what are you concerned about in relation to finding things and adapting and being 100% engaged in where you are? Talk to us about that. Let's have a little open conversation. And if you have some questions below, we will answer them next week.
And here's a challenge. If you have not subscribed to our channel yet, please hit that subscribe button right there. We are almost at 500. That's 500 is amazing. People subscribing.
Maybe we get to 550 this week. We're at 476, I think. 550 this week.
You can be the one to get us closer to 500 and over to 550. So let's do it.
And thank you very much. We'll see you guys next week.